Hello everyone, Suzanne Morales-Vale, Director of Developmental and Adult Education. I'm here to talk to you about everything you've ever wanted to know about developmental and the TSI in 20 minutes. So here we go. The one thing, before I get into this, and I've talked to you all during our short meetings up in the Lone Star room, but I wanted to remind everyone two important initiatives. We are recruiting right now faculty for item review teams and standard setting teams for the new TSI. Please, again, we apologize for the horrible timing for these review meetings, but please submit as many nominees from your institution as you think are qualified. And again, please support your faculty on this, because we want institutions to be able to certainly have a key role in what items are included in the new TSI assessment and what the cut scores will be. Secondly, Terry Daniels has happily announced our new request for proposals for a new grant, the S3 grant, Scaling and Sustaining Success, S3 grant. It's on our website, and also during the Q&A period we'll be passing out an informational sheet. So I wanted to make you aware of 4 important reports. These were all legislatively mandated. You can find copies of all these reports. These are the final draft reports that were recently approved at the October 25th board meeting. If you go to the coordinating board website, the home page, scroll all the way down to the bottom under upcoming events, click on more events, and then scroll down to where it says board meetings, and you'll find copies of all these reports. The one that I really want to emphasize is the Senate Bill 162, which is our new 2012-2017 statewide DevEd plan, which provides a vision, 9 goals, and 31 objectives in helping us to get where we need to go in terms of success for our students. Also, Dr. Goman talked about the Learning Outcomes project earlier. I believe it was this morning, so I just wanted to also let you know that developmental education learning outcomes are also part of this project. We now have outcomes for reading, writing, integrated reading and writing, and intermediate mathematics. ESOL has also been addressed, and all of these were approved by the ACGM committee on October 19th. Notice we do not have developmental math, DE math, the outcomes for that yet, because there's so much going on in math, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in an upcoming slide. The new TSI assessment, you all received a memorandum dated June 25th, which reminded everyone that the implementation date is the institution's first class day. We had some parameters that we had to work with. The statute said it had to be implemented by the academic year 2013-2014. College Board is the vendor who we are working with, and they said it would not be available before August 1st. So given those type parameters, we thought the best date would be the institution's first class day. And we realize that 90, 95, maybe even 100% of your students, depending on if you have late registration or not, will have current rules and the currently approved assessments applied, those who are actually enrolled in fall 2013. So we're really giving the institutions a little bit extra time. And you can see here we have a timeline, and again, as I mentioned, the field test items, the content review of those field test items, and the standard setting is going to be happening in January and February. Board approval of those standards at the April 25th, 2013 meeting. We anticipate that approval. As soon as we get that approval, hopefully by the 3 o'clock meeting adjournment, we'll get that information out to all the institutions. The College Board will be training institutions in the May-August timeline. If you are a current AccuPlacer user, then you are very familiar with the protocols and test administration procedures. There'll be some minor changes, but that will certainly be an advantage. And then in the academic year 2013-2014, we are really going to look and see and determine what are those populations of students testing in the developmental education level and the ABE levels, because we have estimates anywhere from 5 upwards to 40% of students who may test into the ABE levels. We don't know what that will look like. So once we determine what those populations will look like, that may inform any future policies and rules. A couple of other things about the new TSI assessment. You're all familiar that there's going to be one assessment statewide and one set of standards that cannot be raised. Rest assured, those standards, especially as a result of involvement of your faculty, I'm sure those standards will be very rigorous. The new assessment will determine not only college readiness, but developmental education, defined as within 2 years of college readiness, and adult basic ed levels, based on the NRS educational functioning level descriptors 1 through 4. The assessment will also produce a diagnostic profile at the same time as the cut score is produced. And that will be extra additional information available to advisors, to faculty, and those who help students make those coursework and placement decisions. And we are also looking at developing a model this year. We're working with our Developmental Education Advisory Committee and other stakeholders to look holistically, more holistically at the student and consider multiple factors in addition to the cut score and the diagnostic profile. Things like high school GPA and class ranking, prior academic experiences, and other non-cognitive factors such as motivation levels, self-efficacy, and those important factors that often predict a student's success. And yes, I am violating the PowerPoint Protocol 101. I have way too much on these slides, but I did want to emphasize a few things here. These are the new rules that have come into effect. They were recently approved at the board meeting. The one thing I wanted to emphasize in 4.55 is students will no longer be allowed to take the test cold turkey. The institution must develop some sort of a pre-assessment activity. It could be singular, plural, more than one. And it's general enough, we hope it's general enough to where it could be delivered in any mode that you think is going to be effective for your students based on your resources and your student population. But these are the 4 things, the minimal things that need to be addressed, and we hope that your institution will, of course, add additional information as applicable. 4.58. This has actually been in place for a number of years. The academic plan for, or I'm sorry, the plan for academic success for those students who are not college ready. What we've done is we've gotten a little bit more specific on the minimal criteria that should be addressed in this plan. And specifically, I wanted to emphasize letter E, regular interactions between the student and designated point of contact. And the point of contact, as you can see, again, offers a lot of flexibility. Those interactions don't need to be face-to-face. They don't need to be formal, but they need to occur regularly so that the student who is not college ready, who is the underprepared student, does have that, maintains that connection with the institution in terms of trying to get through persisting and succeeding. 4.58, oh, I'm sorry, let's see, 4.59. Again, this is a slight modification. We made it a little bit more clear. Of course, we do know performance in developmental education can be a determination of college readiness. We also are emphasizing performance in appropriate non-developmental coursework, especially as we emphasize course pairing with credit-bearing courses like English 1301 and so forth. And also know that if a student comes in, transfers from a Texas institution or another institution, and you've accepted that transfer course as an English 1301 equivalent, that will satisfy both the reading and writing requirement for TSI. The other thing we wanted to emphasize, again, this is already in current rule, but we wanted to emphasize that students can retake an assessment at any time, subject to availability. So we understand from calls from the field from students that many institutions have put limitations and restrictions on the ability for students to retest, and we wanted to emphasize that that would be in violation of the statute. Evaluation and reporting, we want to emphasize here, and this is based on House Bill 1244, that institutions need to regularly analyze and report to us the fiscal and instructional impacts on these following points. Now, we do want to emphasize that most of this will be taken care of through the developmental ed program surveys that your institutions are responding to annually. We ask for additional supplemental reports, but we hope as much as possible to get most of this reporting information and the data and the impact data through our program survey. And And this is in addition to the TSI Section 4.62, and again, this is directly word for word taken from House Bill 1244. Non-course competency-based options, NCBOs. We want to just emphasize some of the important components and parameters within this option. The student must have taken the TSI assessment. So we need to make sure the student indeed does need this intervention before we offer this to the student. The institution should then approach this as, even though, and this is what's really confusing, we call it non-course based, but really because we're trying to fit a round peg in a square hole, all of our reporting and funding is based on a course base. And so what we're trying to do with this non-course based option is make it look like a course. So the institution would determine the number of contact hours needed, the instructional delivery mode, and whether it's going to be open entry, open exit. All these are options available. And then we highly emphasize to work with your institutional research and institutional effectiveness and any other curriculum committees in order to make that course, that quote-unquote course, official and available to students for enrollment. There should be an instructor of record that regularly monitors progress, and of course we'll give the final grade. And of course, like any other developmental ed option, that grade can be pass or no pass. And in terms of financial aid and funding, as long as these guidelines are met, the students are eligible just like any other developmental ed course. There's a timeline here for your information. We ask that one offering be available to students this spring. That could be in any subject area. I know there was a rumor that it had to be in math. No, it does not have to be in math, in any subject area. And I want to emphasize that student success is also an option in terms of a non-course based option, because student success is in the academic course guide manual under developmental ed as a course for students. And you could see the other components of the timeline. Developmental math. There is so much going on in developmental math right now. Two of the main initiatives involve the Complete College America program, the Focus Math program, and that is spearheaded by my colleague Terry Daniels. And of course, we all are familiar with the New Mathway project, and that is with the collaboration of Texas Association of Community Colleges and the Dana Center. Both of these initiatives have in common an acceleration component, a student support component. The main difference is the CCA Focus program is a co-requisite model in which the developmental ed math and math 13-14 happens in the same semester. And of course the student success, it's all happening in one semester. And I highlighted math 13-14 because that is the one component that may change depending on the strand or depending on the pathway of the student. If the student is in, for example, a STEM pathway, then math 13-14 certainly would be appropriate. However, as part of this whole pathways movement in terms of mathematics, if the student is in another pathway, a statistics pathway or quantitative literacy, contemporary math pathway, then certainly that college credit class would change accordingly. And as I noted here, the three pathways are noted at the bottom there. And the other difference between the Focus program and the New Mathways is Focus already has been implemented both on the university and community college levels. And we have curriculum is already in place and has been used and is being modified and improved. The New Mathways project is currently under development, and I understand that piloting for that project will begin next fall. Integrated reading and writing. We are planning a year-long comprehensive professional development program sponsored by the coordinating board, and that will happen in 2013. And after that year-long program, then we ask that institutions offer at least one section of the integrated reading and writing in spring 2014. And then a year later, we expect that all upper-level developmental ed courses in reading and writing should be integrated. The goal of this year-long professional development program is that every faculty member teaching reading and writing currently either together or in integrated or separately, feel confident and competent in teaching those courses. Also, other initiatives, of course, that we recommend, one area is course pairing, which is also, you may also hear it as mainstreaming or co-requisite models, involves the student enrollment in a developmental ed and credit-bearing course at the same time. And that is the one area, according to Community College Research Center data, that is showing the most promising results, not only in Texas but also nationally. Other accelerated options, of course, include modular or emporium style, and based on our most recent developmental ed program survey, we know that you all are definitely integrating technology into your developmental ed programs in terms of instructional support, so we're doing really well in that area. Adult education, we ask that your institutions bring together people from your continuing ed side, from your WECM side, partnerships in the community from the Workforce Commission, Workforce Solutions side. Bring these people together and start asking the questions. Do a needs analysis, a needs assessment. How are you currently addressing students, those what we call lower skilled students, those students who potentially may be testing into those ABE levels, whether they have a high school diploma or not, or a GED or not? How are you currently addressing those needs? Look into things possibly federally funded ABE programs. How can continue ed, workforce education, and community-based organizations be part of that conversation? Again, Workforce Commission and adult literacy programs within the community. And also, we have several grant programs. Dr. Linda Munoz, our colleague, she's actually doing some site visits today, but she is spearheading a number of grant programs that offer intensive and contextualized models where you change your continuing ed or your WECM course or even some of the lower level developmental course to integrate these skills for lower skilled students that are workforce connected. Of course, our main goal this year is continued outreach, and I want to put a plug in. We are going to be attending the CRLA CASP conference this week. Later on this week, we're going to be doing 3 sessions, a town hall on November 8th, a non-course competency-based options session immediately following, and then Saturday, my colleague, Dr. Aaron Gratchek, our newest addition to our developmental team, and he is going to be doing a session on TSI Assessment that Saturday. And again, during the Q&A period, we'll be passing out the flyers, giving you more information on the S3 grant. And thank you. Appreciate it.